Hi, folks. For those of you that have been following the Freebooters podcast, I have moved away from Debian shock horror to Arch. Largely because my workflow now is mostly with like i3 and I'm doing a lot with the command line, that an Arch workflow does seem to be a little bit more suited to what I'm after. Like, more up-to-date packages are quite nice. That way I get to try out new, bells and whistles on whatever command line application that I'm using at the time is. And also because it is fundamentally a more minimalist and basic system, there's really much less that can go wrong. So I thought that because of this, I might do a few workflow videos just to show you how I've set this up. I'm always looking for feedback and stuff like that because I'm still relatively new to not necessarily tiling window managers. I mean, I used Rat Poison like back in the day. That was like well over 10, maybe, I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago. And I really enjoyed it at the time. I kind of faded away from it in favor of like, well, I reinstalled a system and just used the default and then moved on with that. But I recently, because of Drew and everyone else in like the Freebooters chat room and everything like that, have eventually sort of ushered me back over to the land of the tiling window manager. I've moved with i3. A lot of people say that i3 is one of those things that you sort of start on, but most people sort of gravitate away from. I actually don't think that's going to be the case with me. I've set up i3 exactly as I want it, and it fits all of the edge cases with Windows and stuff like that absolutely perfectly for me. I don't need anything more minimal than that, and I am completely happy down to the ground. I don't have any task bars or anything like that. Everything I do is like most of my workflow is just bash scripts that I've created exactly for my particular workflow, and I'll probably go through those over time. But today I'm just going to show you a little bit about what I've done in regards to surfing the internet. So if you look at my my terminal over here, you can see AERC in the corner there. That's my email client. I'll probably cover email at another point, but right now I'm going to show you a little bit about my RSS feed and my web browser, sort of, kind of, maybe. I do use Lynx, and I'll show you exactly how I use it. So if I go into Newsboat, now a few people have been talking to me a little bit about Newsraft, which I haven't actually tried because Newsboat literally does every single thing I want in the way that I want it to. I may very well change over to that at some point or look into it a little bit more, but Newsboat, it gets it up over here. And as you can see, I've got my RSS feeds here. It's a bit of a mix. I probably at some point need to go sorting through them. But as you can see, I've got like a mix of like news sources, Linux sources. That's Drew's website there. There's Hun's feed down there. I've got Boiling Steam down there. Free Gamer down there, the itch.io.blog, plant-based news, all that kind of stuff, right? I actually really kind of like that they do it this way instead of just giving you a completely like unfiltered feed of all of your RSS things, because some websites will update a lot more regularly than others. And I usually find with RSS feeds that the news sites will sort of overtake it because they put out, I don't know, many a day, whereas something like Gaming on Linux or like Ghosty's blog there, shout out Ghosty, that's going to be a lot lower frequency, and as a result we'll kind of get drowned out. So I kind of like the idea, and also like I'm in different moods to read different things at different times. Now what you can do with Newsboat is if I press T, it can go into all the tags. So I've got blogs about food, I've got friends' websites, games and gaming. Okay, gotta sort that one out. Gardening, news sources. A news source is like a local council's website or something that's a bit more direct rather than just like a newspaper. I've got a couple of podcasts there. Politics, which is like politics but not news, and then They Work For You, which is basically whenever any MPs that I'm following will speak in Parliament, I'll get a little notification through RSS, which is absolutely amazing. I, at the very least, recommend anyone in the UK to subscribe to their MP and just know what their MP is doing in Parliament, like the questions they're asking, all that kind of stuff. And it's good. And just also, I do encourage anyone watching to be politically active, particularly, specifically in the UK, whenever like an MP says, ask a question in Parliament or whatever that you feel strongly about, or sometimes it's worth writing them and just say, look, I like what you said about this, or I don't like, I'd like to disagree with, obviously respectfully, but MPs can be swayed by a lot of correspondence really as well, or write to your local paper or whatever. But yeah, MPs often, more than you think, will respond favorably if you write and recognize that they're doing something you like, if/when they do something you like. But but anyway, just a thought there. Or like, yeah, if you want to like bend their ear to certain issues, whatever, it is worth getting in touch with them. Obviously, like, they're human beings. You want to sort of like appeal to them as human beings and to sort of appeal to their better nature. But there's a substantial number of MPs in there that are sort of curtailed more by the system, but still like might be decent people. It's a complex world that we live in, and I know that in the world of like social media and news bullets and all this kind of stuff, like it's so like bite-sized news sound bites and stuff, like it's you're either with us or you're against us, or it's like righteous anger and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, well, sometimes the world requires a deft touch. So anyway, back on track. So if I am going to look at maybe like friends, so I'm going to look at like Drew's websites. Now, I'm going to just point out here that Drew's RSS feed, as it currently stands, is doubled up. That's because Newsboat downloaded a whole bunch of his stuff, and then we changed the way how bloat works, which is the content management system that we use on our things like that. So if, for example, you go to emojis are shit, you'll see that the link there is to an HTML file, and then if we go back and it goes there, that the link goes to like a something with a trailing slash. I don't know why I'm pointing like off screen here. Yeah, that's just simply because it's the same. I think it's the same with mine. It's not maybe the same as mine because of maybe how I set it up or whatever. I don't know. But there we go. And also, if you do want to check out my website, it's chrisway.wales. Also, there's a lot of stuff that I put out there on all the platforms and stuff. So, in the Fediverse or on YouTube, on Twitch, although I don't know, I'm falling out of love with Twitch quite strongly right now. It just seems to be just shit. So anyway, and then there's like Ghosty's blog and all that kind of stuff. Knives Out. Have I seen Knives Out? I don't know. Mediocre to awful. Daniel Craig, fake accents. Oh, okay. Worth checking out Ghosty's film reviews. He doesn't hold back. So, now, where does the bit where the web browser comes in, and why I tend to use a terminal browser for browsing this RSS feeds. Now, most of you probably have already worked out the answer to that question. The answer to that question, of course, is because basically it's a nicer way to read websites. Now, a lot of websites nowadays aren't something you read. They're like web apps and stuff like that. But that's why I hook Lynx, which is a text-only command line or a TUI, terminal user interface web browser, into my RSS feed, because that's where I tend to use it the most. So if we go down to gaming on Linux, right? So I've shown you an example of websites, like, for example, Ghosty's blog here, the Kingsman. That is like how you would expect an RSS feed to look. And that works really well. And that's all within Newsboat. However, gaming on Linux, because it is a news website, it has advertising, they want to get you onto the website. What usually happens, so if we pick out, so I've already read this one, Linux Mint Debian Edition released. Not quite a game, but I do like that Gaming on Linux covers this kind of stuff. So Linux Mint Debian Edition now out, and it gives you so Gaming on Linux, for example, it gives you the synopsis of the article. Now, because this is the Kitty terminal, I can click on that link and it will open it up, I think, in Firefox, which is on another window over there, another screen. But what I can do is, and you can see this at the bottom, open in browser. I can press O. Opens it up, and now it's just asking me if I want to do cookies. Never. So I press V for never, and here we go. So this is the website itself. Now, there is a thing with links, or more specifically, how websites are laid out, is that you get the menu at the beginning. So with links, I just do page up, page down. You can also do delete and insert if you want, like, line by line or 2 lines by 2 lines. But this just usually skips the fluff at the top. There you go, and it goes LMDE7, and then LMDE7 is out now, latest release, based on Debian. It's their fallback plan if Ubuntu ever truly goes to shit, making sure Linux Mint could continue on. I totally believe, as everyone who follows me knows, that Mint jump ship today, yesterday, like now. Like Debian is a much better base for Linux Mint. Like it folds into their values so much better, and the technological distinctions of Ubuntu are going in a different direction to Mint anyway now, whereas Debian and Mint are, they have related philosophies, different sort of like different sort of severity or adherence, but they are aligned, and I think Ubuntu, its goals are a lot more corporate, and whereas Ubuntu would be great selling or giving their open their distribution to corporate and enterprise environments. For people at home, like Mint is more like geared for that kind of use case scenario, and Debian is as well. I mean, Debian's great. Debian does everything that Mint can do. It's just that it requires a little bit more input, a little bit more customization, and that's great if you want to do that kind of thing. Not everyone does, and that's totally okay. And for Linux Mint / Linux Mint Debian edition is great for that. I think that sometimes Linux Mint, and someone said this on Fedi the other day, and I kind of think, is that sometimes Mint can feel like it does a little bit too much. Like you boot it up, and then suddenly it's asking you about backing up and upgrades and all this kind of stuff. And setting sane defaults might be a little bit better than just bombarding a new user with all of these questions about things that they don't know. They're still in the process of setting up their workflow, and they're not necessarily going to want to use the Linux Mint tools. It's great that Linux Mint has an offering, but also at the same time, there is such thing as too much. So, but anyway, that's just and I don't know, that's an opinion coming from, like, when I installed Arch on this machine, I literally did the minimalist install and then built thing by thing on top of that, because I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew exactly what I wanted my system to look like, because I was coming from a Debian stable installation that originally I had their XFCE image on, and then eventually I sort of started chipping away at the XFCE. I don't think I've got any XFCE tools now at the moment. Like 99% of what I do is done with some within some realm of the command line, with the exception of web browsing and video editing. Although I use ffmpeg on the command line, like I used it earlier today. A lot of that is actually more to do with audio than video, but like ffmpeg on the command line, surprisingly powerful, and I kind of like it. So anyway, that's fundamentally how I now browse the internet when it comes to reading stuff. Double Q to go back if you're not entering into a field. And then, so it's just like basically, and then if you come across something like that, where it gives you the synopsis, but it doesn't give you the full article in your RSS reader, just press O, and then links your way into it. Now I've got to remember so I can show you, I hope. Okay, and there we go. And it says 2 unreachable feeds found. So I think I can go cat. I think it's config, and I think it's Newsboat. No, is it Newsboat /config? There we go. Oh yeah, what you can do actually is that if you look at let's do URLs first. That's how it saves all the URLs that it looks for. That's it's as simple as that. Newsboat URLs. But I think if you do newsboat.config, I'll show you my config file. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. I've been really getting into bat lately. It's just really quite good. Anyway, so file Newsboat config. So basically it just says there I've got three browsers that I can rotate, and as you can see, I've commented out Firefox and I've commented out Dillo. Dillo is also something that I might be quite interested in doing a video about. But again, Lynx is what I settled on. It's fits the smoothest into Newsboat. Dillo and Lynx are kind of basically doing the same job though. So Dillo is a much more basic website that is fine for like reading articles. It's just not really up to the task of using web apps. And that is totally fine. I use Firefox for doing the web app stuff, and then I use Lynx for everything else. But Dillo works just as well. It's just a bit more GUI, and as in like graphical user interface, whereas Lynx just goes straight in from the same window, and then I can just press page down a couple of times to get to the article if there's like a menu at the top or something like that. I'm sure there are other cleaner ways of doing it, and if there are, definitely let me know. Comment section's down there. But of course, I do have an email address, and all the contact details and stuff is available on my website, chrisware.wales. Basically, if you ever want to see like what I'm doing or making at any point in time, chrisware.wales. I've also got a new blog up there, as I demonstrated on Newsboat. So go and check that out. I'm trying to do a little bit more writing these days. I'm actually really quite enjoying it. And it's going to be writing about all kinds of stuff. There will be some tech stuff in there. There will also be whatever's on my mind. Like it could be, font reviews again. Could be talking about a font. I could be talking about. I've always wanted to do mug reviews. Like mugs that you drink. That you drink coffee and tea out of. Like, it's one of those things I have weirdly strong opinions on, and maybe I want to do some writing about it. Also, dolly pegs. Why did we ever move away from dolly pegs? I want to find out. That's another thing I'm looking at in my free time. And like they're such a better design, and for some reason we moved away from them as a society to some weird springy things that anyway, I don't know. If you want to see that kind of stuff, maybe that's worth a video. I don't know. Anyway, so there we go. My config's actually very, very basic. I'm generally keeping to the same. Also, if I go back into Newsboat, so it really is just one line. Those two commented out are just like previous iterations of it. If I go back into Newsboat, I can press, I think, it's not E, it's Shift and E, that's it. And then, so that basically puts the URLs in Vim, or whatever your, I assume whatever your default text editor is. And then that allows me to take them out, edit them as is, export them, copy them. Like, I love the fact that it's all done in plain text. And actually, that's one of the reasons, like one of the things that I've been no, I'm in Vim, I'm not in Newsboat. Okay. So that's one of the things that I'm actually really enjoying about this sort of predominantly command line interface / TUI workflow, is that a lot of the time the tool that I need is one that I make myself. Like, I've been getting really into bash scripting, and I used to use Stow. For those of you that are familiar with what Stow is, that creates manages symlinks for your dot files and things like that. But I ended up abandoning that and writing just like my own bash script that does my management of all my dot files as I need them. And that's a lot better for me. It just works for me. I know exactly how it works. I know exactly what I want to do with it and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the time as well, when it comes to like, sometimes a lot of people think of, apps. A lot of people think in terms of apps nowadays. So for example, I was looking at like an address book app for my email workflow, and I was talking to Drew about it, and he uses aBook. And I gave aBook a shot. He helped me set it up, all that kind of stuff. But in the end, I ended up gravitating towards like making some of my own tools and then using it and having it in a CSV file. Because at the end of the day, all I need is is like a list of phone numbers, a list of email addresses, and a list of names. It's all it needs to be. It's a CSV file. That's what an address book is. Why we have all these different things for address books when really all we need is a CSV file and then just a way to manipulate it. It's kind of crazy, and or tab separated files as well. Those of you that have opinions, I'd love to hear that as well. Do you like tab separated files or comma separated values? Tab separated values, comma separated values. Because I've been working with Visidata, and that piece of software is a big proponent of tab separated values, but I tend to go with comma separated values, but it's just because it's what I've always known. So God, one time Drew gets me on Vim and suddenly, boom, I shot off in this direction, and it was crazy. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. This video has been like 20 minutes now, and I'm just talking about Lynx and Newsboat and a bit more of a ramble there. But thank you very much for joining me. If there's anything you'd like to know about my system or any suggestions that you want to throw my way, yeah, I'm in the Fedi. This video will probably go up on YouTube, but it'll go up on YouTube like substantially later. So if you want to check out the latest of my videos, you can either subscribe through RSS, believe it or not, to my PeerTube channel, or subscribe through the Fedi or whatever, or check out all the links from my website. That's like the central spot you want to go to, chrisware.wales, and then you can find out all the stuff that I'm doing, all the podcasts I'm on, all the projects I'm working on, all the writing I'm doing. It's just all there. I try and put like a bunch of it, like I'm putting blog posts up on the post section of my YouTube channel, the text posts. So if you're subscribed on mobile, I think that might work for you or something like that. Like if you use I don't know how it works, but like it's a blog post, isn't it? You might as well put it where you're doing stuff, right? But anyway, yeah, check out my website. That's like the central point. Everything sort of spans out from there. Also follow me on the Fedi, follow me on the PeerTube. And yeah, I keep chewing over the idea of going back to Owncast, to be honest. But for those of you that have been following, I've been streaming to YouTube now. I did stream to Twitch for a bit, and that just like, I don't know, I always just feel that place is just a bit crap, and the enshittification is just increasing. At least with YouTube, YouTube is enshittifying too. Who am I kidding? It's just all shit, which is why you should join me on the Fedi. Anyway, that's about it for me today. Thank you very much for viewing a video and stuff, and yeah, feedback welcome on this one, because this is kind of a bit of a new space for me. But is it a new space? I don't know. It's coming back to an old space, but I'm doing a lot more with bash scripting, and I'm really enjoying that. Doing a lot more with like plain text kind of stuff, note taking in plain text, calendar. Oh, I should do the video on calendar.txt. Look that one up, because that was cool. To-do.txt, of course, and stuff like that. And it all comes back to the plain text thing, and then all you got to do is create your own bash tools to like manipulate it, right? So that's it. Also, another side note: if you want to watch videos like these but like 10 times better, check out Bread on Penguins. It's just like this channel, but like 10 times better. So there you go. There's a free tip. Bread on Penguins. Okay, cool. All right, that's enough rambling for today. Toodaloo.